So I just finished watching episode 2 of Devilman Crybaby, and that was a messed up episode, not gonna lie. That's some really creepy and weird moments. But anyways, though, as you can see, I'm reviewing another episode of Devilman, and I just want to clarify a couple of things that I feel like I'm probably going to stick to, like, an episode review format for this series. Most likely every single week, I'll probably be releasing an episode review. I'll sit down, watch an episode, and then review it, and that's basically the schedule I want to keep, because it'll allow me to have a consistent schedule to where I can, get these reviews out for it, give you guys my thoughts as I progress through the series, and also retain my schedule with other anime that I need to watch and other manga I need to read. I think it's just a perfect way to go about this. But anyways, though, episode 2, just watched it. I love the series even more now, and it's a very, very thought-provoking series in a lot of ways, and once again, after watching this, I can see how Kentaro was inspired by this series, why the writer of Parasite was inspired, why Neon Genesis Eva was inspired. I mean, when you see certain scenes like I saw in episode 2, I could just see so many things they took from this series and put into their own. In a way, you could look at Devilman Crybaby and say it inspired the entire genre of seinen, especially after what I have personally seen. I can't even imagine what is to come when I continue on with this series. But let's talk about episode 2. So episode 2 focuses on Akira and his change in character and personality. As we know with the first episode, Akira, he was at a club, and a demon awakened inside of him, and he became the Devilman. And he started going around and taking out all the demons, and as we found out, you could possibly lose your humanity and no longer be who you once were. We saw this example in the first episode. With the second episode, Akira obviously has changed quite a bit. He no longer looks like he once did. He looks like an entirely different person now. Like, honestly, if you were to compare the two characters from the first episode and this episode, you'd be like, completely different. Like, it's an insane difference with the character. Just a drastic 180, which that's how the episode starts off. Everybody is looking at Akira and it's like, He's done a 180. Is he doing drugs? Is he on something? Is this man, doping up? I mean, what's going on? Why does he act so different? Everybody was just really weirded out about his appearance, and I think that's one of the biggest highlights of the episode, is having everybody take note of Akira's change in character, because you do not know how many anime and manga I have read to when a character has a massive shift or change. Not many people really notice. Only maybe the main cast of characters notice, and that's basically it. That's the only people that really tend to notice at all. And I'm really happy that everybody noticed it. Even characters that are completely irrelevant and won't be important at all for the in-game probably of the series, they noticed. Like, the entire school noticed. People outside of school noticed how different he was. They're like, whoa, is this even the same person? And when eventually they started thinking he was really cool, following him around, and just the way the exchange was done, I felt like it was really realistic. I mean, in terms of someone coming into school, being very different and all that, it felt realistic to a certain point. I mean, well, if someone like that was to barge into school and they had that big of a difference in, I guess, appearance, I guess the principal would take them into his office and talk to him about what the hell is going on. So, I mean, in some ways it's not realistic, but in others, the reaction from the students, the actual students in high school, I felt like it was is genuine. It didn't feel like it was fake or just didn't make much sense like how it did in other anime manga, like for instance how it lacks sense sometimes because barely anybody notices the change or shift in a certain character. So I just want to say that's a good highlight personally to me. Anyways, let's talk about how savage this man is. This man straight up was watching his porn on the big screen at school. Bro, this man is straight up savage. Like, that's savage. I just, like, I can't even believe the man did that. And when I look at the character, what he was in the first episode and what he did in this episode, I'm like, is this even the same character? But I guess that was the whole point of it, that radical change in character, just to show how a demon can really change a person. And at this time, for what we could see, Akira, he is still him. deep down, he is still him. We can still see he feels people's emotions, and he gets sad for others. We see how he still cries in this episode, which goes with the title of the series, Devilman Crybaby. Now, I do want to clarify something real quick. I did make a mistake in my last video of Devilman, my first impressions. I said that the original series was called Devilman Crybaby, and in fact, it was actually called Devilman. The Crybaby attachment to the title was only added thanks to Netflix. I just want to clarify that real quick, so just forgive me if I messed that up and all that already in this video, or even in, my last video I did last week. Please forgive me for that. But anyways, though, he still has retained his self. He's different. Outside appearance, he's different. Some parts of him that he displays and expresses is obviously different, but overall, deep down, he still seems to be the very same and kind-hearted person he once was. He just seems to be less shy overall. That's what it looks like to me. So, character-wise, I think he's a really cool character. I really like the main male character now, especially after just the radical shift in personality. It makes him really fun to see what he's going to do next, and, if he's ever going to go back to what he once was, or if this is going to be his permanent personality, we will see. So, anyways, let's get into the main plot. So the plot of this episode, besides, the high school and all of them just freaking out to his appearance, we get some setup here and there for the future of Devilman Crybaby's anime. We have where this dude in the background, which we saw in the first episode, that seemed to be kind of scummy, but he wasn't as relevant compared to this episode. He was scummy. He was trying to get, the main female character to go and take photos with him, which was obviously some, ulterior motive going on there. He wanted to do something else besides just taking photos. And in this episode, thanks to Akira looking very different, he looks more like a man, he's taller, he looks like what everybody would want to go after, and a bunch of the girls, one of the main girls actually, she takes notice of Akira's change, and notices his big demon bulge. That's all I'm gonna say. And she notices that, and obviously she gets a little bit flustered, and she goes home. And with these feelings, obviously she wants to relieve herself. And in her moment of wanting to relieve herself, she encounters the dude that's the scummy photographer that was wanting to take pictures with the main female character. And so she basically got used. And in the scene, we get to see with a brief little glimpse, and many might not understand or comprehend that scene, which hopefully I'm comprehending it right. This is what I got after rewatching the episode twice. But in the scene to where she's sitting there relieving herself in her bed and she's thinking of Akira, we also see a scene to where she got, used by the man. And the only thing you could pull from this is the fact that most likely what she is doing in this moment, she is thinking of Akira and his demonic bulge and all that to be able to forget about what actually happened to her. For instance, she was wanting to relieve herself, but while she was relieving herself, she started thinking about that, and so she started thinking about Akira to get that image out of her mind. That's what I'm assuming. I mean, there's two ways to take it. Either A, she was using him as like a replacement in that flashback, or she was thinking of Akira and she thought about that. One or the other went down, but regardless though, it's a very dark moment. And like I said already, I could see how Kentaro got a lot of inspiration from this series, especially after seeing something like that, because what makes that scene even creepier, besides her just, thinking about Akira after what was done to her, after being used by the photographer, she makes donkey sounds. And when I first heard it, I was like, what? Like, on my eyes, I was just like, what am I hearing right now? And as it continued, I'm like, there's only two things I can get from this. Either A, she is becoming more of a demon, because it was implied in the episode that people that have a demon inside them and they become more like a devil, they have sexual urges. And that's what I'm assuming was going on. I'm assuming so. I believe that's what was going on when she was making them donkey sounds, or it was just to show how horrifying or creepy that scene was, to add emphasis to it, maybe for a symbolic message, one or the other. But regardless, though, it was a very creepy scene. It was, and stuff like that really can make you just think about, like, what the writer was trying to do. For instance, the message overall, and I like stuff like that. I really do, and I feel like it was a very interesting scene. Overall, I do say that even though it was creepy, I gotta say that I am a big fan of stuff like that when it comes to how the writer likes to display this darker side to certain stories, and that's basically what that was. So yeah, overall, Devilman Episode 2, it had a lot of good moments. The art and animation, anyone that complains about it, like I said in my first impressions, I don't know what to say to you. I mean, I know it looks very different. I know it doesn't look like what you're used to, but the style of the series, when it comes to the art, it's supposed to represent, like, the 1970s. It's an older, like, looking art style, and also since the director of this and all that's very famous and also worked on, Ping Pong, the animation, which is a fantastic series. Love that anime. Should watch it if you haven't seen it. But since the same person that's, basically working on this art and animation and stuff worked on Ping Pong, well, it's to be expected that we would see something very weird and different, and on top of that, too, I think it just fits the theme and style of the series, and I saw a couple complaining about it in my first impressions, and I just want to address that. It doesn't look bad. I mean, obviously, the art style's not going to be for everyone, but just because it looks bad doesn't mean it actually is. It's intentional. It's an intentional design to look like that, to make it look like an older show. So, just, yeah, I just wanted to mention that to make sure that's on the table and everybody understands that. And animation-wise, that animation is solid. Anyone that thinks that animation is bad, I'm at a loss of words. I'm legit at a loss of words. I guess the last thing to really talk about before I end this episode review of Devilman would be to mention the opening song. Now, I personally have not watched the original Devilman. I know it had, like, original anime, if I'm correct. Now, if I'm wrong there, correct me. But I believe there was original, Devilman anime, and when you saw the kid, the brother, whatever, go on the computer and type in Devilman, we see this opening song start playing. It's like Devilman opening, and when you hear the song playing in the background of the scene, I felt like that was basically like a homage to the original Devilman. That's what I assume was going on there, which is a really cool thing, because I feel like that was just like an anime original moment, just kind of taking a nod to the original anime, which you don't see quite often. You don't see that done often at all, where series respect the original adaptation or something. It's just very weird, and I thought that was a really cool highlight of the episode too, just seeing how that was done. It's very meta, by the way, and I know some might have problems with it, but I mean, just the way it just sounded cool to me. I really liked that song, and I don't know if that was the original song or if it was a remastered version. I have no idea, but it sounded very nice when you saw the Devilman opening start playing when the kid typed it on the computer. Speaking of that kid is also Mini Savage. He's framing his brother Akira for going on porn sites. Like, what? Kid, what you... Yo, like, come on now, don't do that to your bro. But, I want to end it there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want more, Devilman reviews and stuff, like, episode reviews, let me know in the comments below. This is a format I want to do. It'd be easier on me instead of doing a full series review. And it'll also allow me to dive into certain episodes and talk about them in depth instead of getting off track and talking about random moments throughout the entirety of the series. This allows me just to focus on a solid episode. So that's kind of why I want to do this. But let me know how you feel about this. I'm very curious. If you want more, let me know in the comments below. And yeah, I love you guys. If you also want to get notified for whenever I upload, any more videos, please click the bell icon next to the subscribe button down below. Love you guys. Please be safe. Chibi out.